0 full uniform, departing 11, glider and craft.
I circled in one thermal with 9 of them. I really had my camera here and I documented that whole flight and that flight with and that circling with these watchers. And I think that is one of the reasons we are gliding. Get and store these moments in our mind, these moments we will never forget.
This is Soaring the Sky, a glider pilot's podcast, coming to you from the Mid-Atlantic region here in the United States, and bringing you great soaring content from glider pilots all over the globe. We now join Chuck and Barbara, the gliding junkie, and our new guest pilot.
As I'm in a glider right now, flying during wave camp in Czech Republic, I couldn't join Chuck this time, interviewing the author of The Art of Gliding. Right now I am at flight level 148 and trying or attempting a 1,000 kilometers flight. Unfortunately, the weather doesn't really cooperate well, so I know for sure that it wouldn't be possible. But we are enjoying ourselves, and I can't wait to hear about the new book. So listen to the episode with me and enjoy it.
Thank you, Barbara, for checking in. We look forward to chatting with you when you return there from Wave Camp. Have fun and fly safe. Welcome back to the podcast. We do have some treats for you today. Simon Lemmerer, glider pilot and author of the book, The Art of Gliding, is joining us from Austria to share his amazing story of flying in one of the most beautiful places there, of course, in the world. He's also here to give us a sneak peek into his brand new book, The Art of Gliding. Immediately following our chat with Simon, we are going to head over to Germany because Sergio is back. He's going to bring us another great segment, and this one is titled Where We Are Heading. But before we get into all of that, I do want to give a special shout out to our newest Patreon pilot, Brett Chilcott. Brett, we greatly appreciate all your support, and we are thankful for all of our Patreon pilots. Now, if you like what you hear and you want to help us continue to produce great soaring content here at Soaring the Sky, you can click on the link in the show notes, or of course go to patreon.com/soaringthesky. Simon, welcome to Soaring the Sky. So happy to have you today.
Hey Chuck, hi, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh,
Really
absolutely.
nice.
You know, I'm really excited to hear your story, and I don't know what I'm more excited about because this book that you recently released, The Art of Gliding, and from what I've seen, this book is a real treat, but not only for glider pilots, but all pilots as well. And of course, aviation enthusiasts, hobbyists. There's just a lot of stuff in there. Combination of exciting stories and so many breathtaking photographs. From what I understand, documenting over 10 years and 1,000 hours of gliding and soaring there in the Alps. So this is exciting stuff. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for invitation. Yes, and the book is, like you said, not only for glider pilots. It's for mountaineers too, and it covers not only my career of gliding the last 10 years. It also has a lot of stories from a lot of really nice and good pilots all over the world in it. So it is for sure a book for gliding enthusiasts around the world, for sure.
Well, thank you for putting this book together. I'm excited to hear about it. But before we get into that, I do want to hear about your aviation journey and how everything got started.
Yeah, for sure. Basically, I'm coming from a really big gliding family. My father started gliding in I think 1964, and he was really into gliding and really into competition gliding, and he was 1970 in Marfa, Texas, at the World Gliding Championships there. And so I got really from as a child into flying model planes and into all the gliding stuff. My father stopped his gliding career then around my birth. So because of he flew with a lot of really good glider pilots in that time, and he lost a few friends around my birth, and so he stopped gliding then, and that was one of the reasons he stopped gliding my birth. So I I got that really early, that gliding fever, you know. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, and then I was growing up basically on flying model planes, and then I got into snowboarding and skateboarding pretty big. I was a snowboard and skateboard photographer. I was going back to gliding when I got 26, and then I founded my first company and advertising agency. I got a few more time to go soaring, and then I started soaring with 26, and then I got into it really fast. And I bought a plane, Standardlibelle, and then after 3 years, I earned my first champion title in Austria here, and I was really into it. And I flew around 200 gliding hours per year, and as that I was before a photographer for snowboarding, skateboarding. Yeah, I carried all the time my camera with me, and so I had the opportunity to make a lot of really nice pictures. And then 5 or 6 years ago, I had the idea to make a book, and that expanded then really quickly into that book that it is right now, with his 402 pages and 2.5 kilos. So yeah, basically that was really fast, my story, um, uh, from my gliding beginnings to that book. Yeah.
Well, you're really in, I want to say, like the soaring capital. I mean, what a beautiful place to learn how to fly.
Yeah, for sure. It is like I fly on the Eigen airfield, and the Eigen airfield was really the center of gliding from 1960 to 1970. There were a lot of Americans who were coming here to Austria to that airfield. The schools that were located there, they had then to go and to search another airfield, because it is a military airfield. We, a small club, we stayed here on the military airfield. We are a military club, and so I stayed in, or I the club stayed in Eigen, and there is another really famous airfield which was then built after the flying school got kicked out from Eigen, and that airfield is called Niederöblan, and it is really famous too here in Europe, I have to say. Basically, it's one of the birthplaces of really good cross-country gliding in Europe. Yeah.
You're learning mountain flying. You pretty much have all types of lift there, so you were just kind of thrown into all of it, right?
For sure. It is like here we have, like you say, we have here really small mountains from smaller ranges up to really high ranges, and even we have the opportunity to fly into central Swiss, and there the mountains are for here Europe, for Alps, really high, up to 4,000 meters, 4,500 meters. So we are really located nicely for gliding. So that's cool.
I don't want to give the book away because I want people to read it. There's really some amazing stories in there too. But what was one of those flights that really stands out in your mind that maybe you included in the book, maybe you didn't, but that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, one of my best flights, I was flying 10 years a Standardlibelle. And I pimped the Standardlibelle quite good, and it was my ship for around 10 years. And my farthest flight with the Standardlibelle were around 900 kilometers, but only in thermals, not in wind conditions. And this flight I made there back in 2016 or 17, it was one of my most outstanding flights, and had really I got into the flow state in that flight, and that is not really often that I come to that flow state, you know, when your body is doing all the stuff only to think, and when you don't have to think a lot, you know, when you're in a state of flow, then and you're really fast, and back after the flight you cannot remember, or you cannot replay in your mind that parts of the flight when you're really good. And that flight was an out and return flight from around 740 kilometers, and then I added another leg, And that was really one of my best flights so far with the club class. I flew farther with the 50-meter class, but this was one of the flights which I will remember all of my life. There are a few flights that you will never forget, and this was one of them. I described them really good in the book, but even that was not one of my favorite flights. One of my favorite flights was basically a really bad cross-country flight where I got low in the area of Innsbruck and I had to return home really early. And I then got the opportunity to fly near the Hohe Tauern National Park here in Austria. And I got the opportunity to soar and glide and circle with 9 vultures, bearded vultures.
Yeah.
And they are really big. They have up to 3 meters wingspan. And I circled in one thermal with 9 of them. I really had my camera here and I documented that whole flight and that flight with and that circling with these vultures. And that is that is one of the flights I will remember all of my life. And really, they are more outstanding for me than flying a lot of kilometers, that moment
Yeah, absolutely.
you never forget,
Yeah.
These are really, really the important ones. And I think that is one of the reasons we are gliding. Get and store these moments in our mind, these moments we will never forget. For me, this is one of the reasons I'm doing that sport.
Absolutely. Now, when you got into soaring and it was the early years, was there something that moved you towards competing rather than just getting in your label and just flying?
That is a good question. I think the fact that I got into gliding really, really late got me really fast into competing, or not into competing, into flying really far. That was for me really fast. One of the reasons I got into cross country flying. I always was really curious how it is to fly competitions, central competitions, and not decentral competitions like OLC or what we do with our cross country flights. And I was always I don't want to fly these central competitions because all of the central competitions here in Austria and Germany are mostly around June and July. So that is the best time for cross country flying. And then for me, it was always, I don't want to go on the competition when the weather is so nice, when you can fly 900 or 1,000 kilometers. And then you fly
exactly
300 kilometers. That was really one thing that depressed me a little bit for that whole thing. So I only flew 2 competitions until this day, central competitions, but I liked them really much, and I'm looking forward in the future to fly a lot more. Unfortunately, the Libelle is now really not good, not a good glider for the club class. But we have LS3 in our club, so for the future I will transform and pimp that glider a little bit to go for central competitions, club class competitions in the future.
Now, to reach out and go cross country, it's tough for a lot of people. It's tough to make that decision that I'm not going to stay close to the airport. I'm going to reach out further.
Mm.
What in your journey of flying, was there anything that made it easier, or did you just go for it?
That is really a good question, because we in the Alps, we don't have a lot of landing spots. Yeah, we have a few good areas with good landing spots, and there are areas where there are absolutely no landing spots. It's like I talked to Clemens Chapek last week, and he told me that for example, in Colorado, there are a lot of these big areas where you can land to, and it is in Austria the same, and in the Alps the same. But you have to, and when you start gliding here in the Alps, you grow up with that. You grow up with that in your mind, and for example, we always do tours in spring We drive all the fields, we look on the fields, we look at the important fields like 200 kilometers around here, and we check all the fields. And you grow up in your cross country life, cross country flying life,
Right.
with that in your mind. So for me, it was like I flew in the mountains like for around 400 or 500 hours
Okay.
before I went first into the flatlands. And for me, it was like then the most chilling flight I ever had, my first flight in the flatlands.
Right.
There is an airport everywhere. I was flying in a really good area. I was flying in the Swabian Alps,
Right.
it is the racing track in Germany. And it was like, for me, there is a field everywhere, and it was so really chilly for me to fly there. It was really like I was really happy to fly there then with these a lot of landing opportunities. But here in the Alps is like, but basically you learn to fly here in the Alps like in the US with older wooden gliders like an K8 or a Schweizer, where you fly in the US a lot of with them. So,
Yeah, exactly.
these ships are made for short landings, and basically such a glider, a wooden glider, you can land basically almost everywhere. So it is like you learn it with these kind of gliders, and then you step up, you grow up with that, and you get used to it. But basically we have a lot of areas like in the Vinschgau. It is a really good area where you have really good base heights. There is absolutely no landing field there. There are a lot of fields which are really good from above. We are looking good from above, but there are like every 2 meters there is a water pipe coming out of the earth, and for the culture here. And so
the irrigation and
and that is really not nice when you land there. Your glider inside it is not that good. But the area is really nice to fly, and there are so many good thermals and so many good days. But when you fly there, you have to arrange yourself with some limits, and when you coming under that limits, you have to make decisions. When you make 1 or 2 bad decisions, then you have like no more opportunities to come out there, and then it's not that nice. And usually all the clubs here are learning all their students, these bad areas, and so fortunately we don't have a lot of accidents here with gliders.
Oh, that's good. So when was the first time you landed out? Was it during a cross country?
I landed out really late. It was around 500 or 600 flight hours.
Okay. Wow.
It was my first land out, and that it was on a day where I made a 750 out and return flight with the Libelle, and I was landing out like 10 kilometers from my home airfield, 1 kilometer from my home house where my parents live. So that was really nice because I know the field, and it was really good for me. But that was 2014. So, but in the last 10 years, I gathered around 10 or 15 outlandings. This year was not my best year. I even landed twice on the same field. But
okay.
I had and I never feared the outlanding, because when you make that decision to make an outlanding early, usually you don't get it really stressful. The best thing is to glide until you reach the ground, and there are the most accidents happen there because the people don't making that decision to land out,
Wings and Wheels has been serving the soaring and sport aviation community for over 30 years. They hands down have the largest and most comprehensive inventory of sailplane and soaring supplies in North America, and they ship globally. Nearly everything you'll find on their site is in stock and ready for same-day shipping. Wings and Wheels is the exclusive American representative for HPH sailplanes. Be sure to check out the Twin Shark, their latest launch. They are also now the exclusive distributor in North America for the new Just Soaring Glider Sim Pro. The team has thousands of hours of flying experience in gliders and airplanes. Staffed by Adam, Kelly, Laura, and Sean. A friendly voice will answer when you call or email them. Check them out at wingsandwheels.com. Did you have a flight that was a close call that really taught you a lot?
I had some situations, but I don't have exactly a flight where I remember that it was close.
Right.
Some situations, some near misses or even got onto the lay side of a mountain and then struggling with it and coming close to the terrain, but it was never that heavy that I would call it a really close call. But
Right.
every pilot had these experiences, and I never got into that, and I don't want to come in this situation, but I always
Right.
try to make some mental training before, and even when I'm sometimes when I'm lying in the bed, I'm going to some mental training when what I would do when there is a hit in the glider and when do we have to go out, to just make it mentally that you have to open your harness and stuff like that. And I think that is really important, that you are every time aware of that something can happen. And in the mountains it's like more dangerous because all the gliders and all the guys are flying the same routes, because the thermals are staying on that places, they are not moving, and
Yep.
so that is really a higher risk. And then there are a lot of paragliders too, and when you're not used to a circle with the paragliders, then it's really hard, and you have to learn that, But I love to fly with the paragliders because they circle really in the core, and you can go out around. And when you circle with a good paraglider, you will climb really more faster than when you were circling with another glider, for sure. That is a really big topic.
Yeah. Well, you have a lot more paraglider pilots than we do here in the United States. I know we have them, but when you see pictures and videos like on Instagram, you see like so many paragliders in the air flying, and there'll be a few gliders. And I think it's something that would be maybe a little harder to get used to.
Yeah, but you get really used to really fast, and my friend Werner, which is my friend, and the Viento project, we made it together. He was a really famous glider pilot. He won the Baron Hilton Cup, and he does now paragliding, also on a really high competitive level. And I got into that paraglider scene a little bit, and I love all these guys, and I love the spirit of the paragliders, and a lot of glider pilots, especially the older glider pilots, are like not they don't speak really good over the paragliders, and they have kind of a small battle, and but I love these guys. They're doing exactly what we do, and here in Austria they are around 10 times more than we glider pilots. So they are
Wow.
really a lot, and they're growing really really fast, because it's a sport that you can perform really easy. You
Yeah.
grab your paraglider, you go up on a mountain, and then go soaring. And then
Yeah.
just land, pack your paraglider, and go home, and have that same experience we have, but only in a smaller in a smaller vision, or in a smaller area. So it's really more easier than gliding. So yeah, gliding is like, we lose a lot of glider pilots every year, and there is not a lot of young glider pilots coming after. So that is
Yeah.
a big problem here in Austria and Germany, for sure. But yeah,
So I want to get into the book a little bit here.
sure.
First of all, what motivated you to write a book about soaring?
Oh, that was like a dream of mine really long. I'm professionally a typographer and a graphic designer and an art director. And that is one of these dreams every graphic designer has, like publishing a book sometime, And for me, it was like 5 or 6 years ago when I got into my photo library and I saw all these great pictures and I wrote all these great experiences down. I was like, yeah, I make a book about flying the libelle. That was the first phase of all, the first level of that whole idea, making a book. And as I am a graphic designer, and as there are really no good aviation books out there, good aviation books in that perspective of graphic design, typography, and basically design. My thing was I wanted to make a really good designed book, which is really nice to read and which you have in your bookshelf, and every winter it comes out and you read it because it's really good to read, nice written and good pictures. And that was then the level 2 when I got into it, and I asked some friends of mine. I started with Benjamin Bachmeier, who is a famous German glider pilot, to contribute to the book, because I was thinking about expanding the whole thing, not making only a book about libelles, making a book about gliding in the mountains. And then I expanded it. Bert Schmelzer, also a famous European glider pilot, then was into the idea and told me, yeah, Simon, for sure I will make a story for the book for you, and that then the idea growed,
Right.
And
that's amazing.
the third level of that whole book was then this year in January, where I was always struggling a little bit between working for customers, working a little bit on the book for 2 or 3 hours per week. So it is really hard because you cannot think into that book for 2 or 3 hours. You have to work 1 or 2 days on it to get a really good progress. And then I was like, I stopped getting new customers here in my graphic design studio. And I was like making myself a customer of myself in that company, and then started really to get focused. And I worked from January to now around 500 to 600 hours for the book. And then it really blowed up, and then it really was like getting some tactical stuff inside it, getting some other stories inside it, getting flight technique about gliding in the mountains in it, and then even reaching out to Gordon Böttger after his 3,000 kilometer flight to talk to him and ask him if he wants to contribute for the book. And also Clemens Chapek, who also was really fast into it. I talked to him and he was like, yeah, for sure, I want to contribute in that great book. And so the one thing came to another, and the book grew then from 200 pages in 2018 now to 402 pages, full of guiding, full of stories, and full of really, really nice pictures, and also like stuff to learn, flying technique, to fly in the mountains, flying in the Alps. But my most important thing was not to make another Kalkreuth or a Reichmann book, For me,
Right.
it was important to make a book which you can read every year. That was like the first thing I thought about it. And the second thing was I want to make the nicest and best designed guiding book ever made. And that was really one of the basic motivations. Yeah.
Yeah, but you have eye candy in there. You have some great stories, and you have, of course, lessons to be learned in there as well. It really seems like it has everything you would want.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to take a look at the book myself. I've seen a little bit, but I definitely want to get more into it. So where can we find that book?
The book is basically we printed it here in Austria, and I was like, as I'm into that graphic design and all the printing technique. I was looking for really best printing quality, and best paper quality. That is now really expensive. I got the opportunity to partner up with a good printer here in Austria, and the book is like the best printing technique you can get now. It's printed with 450 dots per inch. That is really high class printing and high technology. And we made around 1,300 copies, and basically we sell it from our online shop, and we do some reseller stuff too, because we really got fast into some inquiries for resellers, and then we got the opportunity to Shaw from Wings and Wheels reached me out, and he was like, I want to buy some of the copies to sell it in the US, because there are a lot of stories with a background or that happens in the US. For example, as I told you before, my dad was like 1970 in Marfa, Texas, and he had a lot of stories from there, and he made a really nice stories from that World Championship there. And also the flight from Gordon and that stuff from Clemens is really nice to read for you guys in the States. And so Sean told me he will take a lot of books, and you can buy it from Wings and Wheels.
Okay, nice. Our sponsor here at the podcast. That's great.
I know. And even my friend Werner, where my partner in that company, he also contributed a story, and he was the winner of the last Bern Hilton Cup. And there are a lot of pictures from that last Bern Hilton Cup inside it, and a lot of pictures from the Flying M Ranch and stuff like that. So it is really interesting for all you guys in the US too. So and it should be like a little teaser also to come and fly here in Europe, because it's nice here too. And so I hope you enjoy the book for sure.
I'm looking forward to it myself.
Cool.
So how many different languages are you getting the book printed in?
Basically, we have German and English inside it. I have
Okay.
My wife is Spanish and English interpreter, and is now English teacher. So we have a really high level English translation inside it. I made the decision to make it like English and German in one book.
Okay.
Not only for a big market, it's like for guys who are not so good at German, they can cross-read it in English and even around, So that is one of the things. And the second decision I made then in January or February, that we want to publish a lot more books in the future. And we made that label we had, it's called We Enter Publishing. And we have now planned that we will make some air sport books in the next years, and for next year we planned 2 or 3 another books, not only for gliding, also for paragliding, for all the air sports, and that is the plan for the next years, to make 1 or 2 books per year with our publishing company now, Viento, and
oh, very cool.
You will see more books from us, and from on that kind of level for sure.
Nice. Well, I'm going to put in the show notes here links so people can get a hold of that book.
Yeah, thanks. Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Simon, what are your plans for the future as far as your flying goes?
My flying, I had a Ventus now for 2 years, and I sold the Ventus last year for a couple of reasons, because of the book, and also got a lot of work in my company. But I flew this year with an LS3, and I was like happy with it, but not really happy with it, because it wasn't my own glider. So I'm now looking out for a glider next year, a new one, and then for sure I have some plans. For example, I want to fly an 1,000 kilometer FI triangle, and 1,000 kilometers out and return would be nice. But these are like dreams for the next years. And when I got to better class of gliders, I'm just looking for Aventus 2A or stuff like that. Then I think there will be one or two seasons to know the glider really well, and then let's see what's happened. But that is one of the goals I have in future. And I talked last week to Clemens, and one of my main dreams are to fly in Colorado for sure, or in the Sierras. That is one of my goals for sure. And as my wife was living for 6 years in Madrid, it is also a dream for me to go to Spain, to Fuente Milanos, to fly there. And these are one of
nice.
these few goals. But I think basically I have to say it's not about that big distances anymore for me. It's like collecting moments,
Absolutely, yeah.
and just enjoying gliding, enjoying it. And
Yep.
I think that is the main goal I have.
Enjoying the moment. Yep, absolutely. It sounds like a great plan.
Yeah, for sure.
Simon, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. It's been nice hearing your story, and I'm excited to see your book. There's a lot of good stuff in there. It's I think it's going to be a real treat for the soaring community.
Thank you, Chuck, for having me, and also thank you for making a podcast, and thank you for all the effort you put in that. We in Europe here, we enjoy your podcast too, as there is no other good podcast. Even in German, we love your podcast, and keep up the good work, and thank you for doing so much effort and putting so much effort in for our sports, and just keep up, Chuck.
Well, thank you, Simon. I took a little bit of a break, as a lot of people noticed, but sometimes we have to do that. But we're back, and we're here, and we're looking forward to many great interviews here in the future.
For sure. Thank you, Chuck. And see you up there in the air.
Hi everyone, Sergio from Soaring Master here. Yes, I'm back. After moving to Germany in June, and after all the trouble of settling in, converting driver license, first things first, right? I had to take this break to reorganize life, and well, I'll tell you, it's great to be back. By now I have had almost 6 months break from gliding activity. And unfortunately, I believe that it will take some more months for my license conversion here. Well, this is the longest break I've ever had since I started flying. And it made me look at our sport as an outsider. I've been flying since 2007 non-stop and enjoyed flying in 6 different countries in between the Americas and Europe. And since I started, I have witnessed several changes in technology, performance, propulsion, and also on the way people engage the sport. Back when I started, there were no influencers, barely any high-resolution footage online. If you wanted to study and know more about techniques, you had to rely on books, which, most of them had been written 15 or 20 years prior, and some manufacturers were still around. Over the past decade, things changed in lots of fronts. Now we have YouTube with great soaring content. High resolution footage has become super accessible, and the same with electronics and flight gear. We can use a common cell phone to do things that were unmanageable not long ago when people were using iPads. Well, Google iPad with a Q in the end to see what that thing was. Well, that wasn't that long ago. We have now international podcasts like Soaring the Sky podcast, web course like Soaring Master for Soaring Flight Improvement. But lately, I've been observing the gliding activity and reflecting on where are we heading. This past 40 years, Apart from the Dooms World Class, which was an Olympic single-class category, which led to the controversial PW5 design, a story worthy of being told here, so I'm planning to do this in our next episode. Well, but since then, and we are talking about 40 years ago, no other project has been conceived by sailplane manufacturers trying to make a widespread and still decent performance design available to the great public. Most of the manufacturers have decided to pursue a high-performance, high-end price objective when it comes to sailplane design. And it's also noteworthy that the actual number of sailplane manufacturers has greatly reduced in the same 40-year time frame. And we have never had such a few number of designs available for purchase. Well, of course, this reflects the market itself, which ultimately encompasses us all. How are we managing our clubs, not only attracting but retaining people? Events, family events, are the families being involved in the club's meetings, or are the club's facilities taught in a way that more people can feel welcomed? Well, if not, try seeing how Yacht Club does it, and how they can gather such a huge number of people around their sport who doesn't even sail. I've been there. I've been invited by some friends lately to join a yacht club, and I saw for the first time how they can attract people, and I was impressed. There are lots of lessons that we from Soaring can learn, which will greatly improve the numbers of our clubs, and that's just some food for thought out there. I would love to know how you and your club are doing in terms of the overall activity. Is it increasing? What are you guys doing in terms of social gathering? And what do you guys believe that needs to be improved? Please share here with us, either in our by commenting in Instagram or via comments here from your podcast app. We'd love to hear it from you guys. Well, that's it. I wish you all safe flights. I'll see you in the next episode. Follow me on Instagram at SoaringMaster or check my website, soaringmaster.com.
If you would like to say hi and let us know where you are enjoying the podcast, we would love to hear from you. If you are a glider pilot and want to share your aviation journey, contact us at chuck@soaringthesky.com or send us a message on our website at soaringthesky.com and Chuck will get in touch with you. We hope you join us next time for another soaring adventure here on Soaring the Sky, a Glider Pilots podcast. Soaring the Sky is written and produced by Chuck Fulton. Original music for the podcast was written and produced by Kim Spangler. Graphic design for the podcast was created by Zachary Fulton. Voiceover work was done by Michelle Perez.